Whenever I do a video on age gap relationships with a Filipina, there are always those comments where people say it can't work or even that they find it disgusting. On the other side of the coin, I also hear from many people in such relationships, both men and Filipinas, who say that age is just a number and we shouldn't be limited from just age alone, as long as the couple are consenting adults. But what is really the truth here? Is age just a number, or are those who enter into such a relationship doomed for heartache and failure? Well, we'll take a good look at this in just one moment, where I'll tell it as I see it, so be sure to buckle up tight and stay with me here. Now, we must realise that age gap relationships are nothing new, although the way some people speak about them, you'd think they are. Many countries all over the world will see older men who enter into serious relationships with a younger woman. So I wonder if the people who object to such relationships are objecting specifically to any such relationship or one that is 30 or more years age difference. To me, in many countries, society seems to deem that it's okay for a woman to be 10 or maybe even 20 years younger than the man. But this seems to change when the age difference hits 20 or maybe even 30 plus years, and especially so if the woman is in her early 20s. Now, whilst such age gaps are not unique to the Philippines, it certainly is the case that many men do seek out women in that country who are much younger than them. Or perhaps some don't necessarily seek out a much younger woman at the start, but their paths cross and then they form a connection that grows. The problem here for many people on the outside looking in is they can only see what they can see. They're not privy to the ins and outs of that relationship from the start to where it is now. They don't know the thoughts and feelings the couple each have, and they certainly don't know what motivates each to be in such a relationship. It's very easy to sit on the outside and all one can see is an old man with an attractive young Filipina and think only two things. The first is that she's a gold digger, and the second is that he's a dirty old man. No matter what anyone says, people and society in general are very judgmental, and they're always happy to pass comment and judgment on other people's relationships when perhaps they should be examining and paying more attention to their own. But people and society are what they are, and we all know that there'll be no change around this. I do understand where some people who may say, how can that couple have anything in common are coming from? Because many seem to think to have a successful relationship, we need commonality from the start. Well, it certainly can help, but it doesn't necessarily have to be so every single time. Yes, granted, a much younger woman from a developing country will seemingly have very little in common with an older man at the start. But is it just possible they can find commonality as they spend more weeks, months and years together? I say it certainly is, and in fact, as a professional relationship counsellor for well over a decade, I've spoken to many such couples who've forged commonality together over time. And in fact, some of these couples have said that they weren't even in love at the start. It was more of a fondness and liking for one another. But they knew the person was kind-hearted, so they allowed the relationship to progress to see where it went. My point here is, there seems to be a misconception that every relationship should meet a certain criteria where the couple should have things in common and be madly in love with each other to commence a relationship. The thing is, we're all human beings, and we're all different with different needs in life and for our relationships. There doesn't necessarily have to be fireworks at the start, and in fact, those fireworks may never come, which for some people, that's okay. You see, everyone needs different things because we're all unique and we tend to get hung up on what society dictates a good relationship should be. So what about we as individuals dictate what our relationship should be and the rest of society can focus on their own relationships and issues in life? Wouldn't that be far more productive? Then we have the issue where some people say, how could such a sweet young thing find a man who could be a grandfather attractive? And how could she possibly sleep with him? But what we need to realise here, that these people say these things only from their own framework or how they view the world and everything in it. For many, this can be a hard thing to wrap their head around, and so they come back to the cliche statements that she's only a gold digger or he's a dirty old man. But one must know that this doesn't always have to be the case. And again, you and I on the outside have no idea what this young Filipina wants or needs from a man to be in a long-term relationship. Is it just possible that such a woman values other things more than the looks of a man? Can she want a man who she knows is decent with a kind heart and a man who she always feels safe and secure with? Is this really so inconceivable to imagine? Can the couple create commonality with each other over time when they're introduced to each other's worlds, and then create new experiences together as a couple? Are these things not forging a closer bond and connection with each other? You see, when we get people who think that she's naturally a gold digger or he's a dirty old man, we're only looking at it through our own mind, which is generally closed to any other possibilities. If we start to look beyond what we see and explore at a much deeper level, then we may just start to realise that it is possible for a young, attractive woman to want to be in an age gap relationship with a man. As I say, her value system overrides the need for a physically attractive man closer to her own age, and clearly she doesn't bow to outside pressure in knowing what will make her happy in her life. Now, as for the much older man, perhaps he enjoys her youth, as it could make him feel younger and happier. Or maybe he's looking for a companion rather than a lover, someone he can be fond of, and perhaps even without a sexual relationship, which, yes, I've seen this and it does happen. But to those on the outside looking in, they'll still see this man as a dirty old man. Now look, I'm not saying that some of these Filipinas are not just into the man for what he can give her, or some of these guys are not into the Filipina for a plaything, because clearly some are. But certainly not all, and the likes of you and I can't truly know what's inside a person's thoughts or heart. So is age really just a number? Well, I never used to think so. Like many others, I always thought too many barriers could get in the way, and yes, sometimes they do. But if a couple has relationship maturity and are committed to one another, and are prepared to learn more about each other's lives where they create ongoing experiences together, then yes, I believe that age can just be a number. I've seen such couples succeed and fail just like any other couples. So it really does come down to the mindset of the individuals and how they combine in the relationship that they want together. And yes, I did say the relationship they want together, because as adults, they get to choose what that looks like, not you, me, or society. To all of you, no matter what type of relationship you have or are looking for, I wish you well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.